YouTube. Y'all are the first ones, so we're getting ready to go live on Instagram, and we're gonna start Cool Weirdos Wednesday. Hey y'all, happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. We are live here on Instagram as well as YouTube. I'm not going live on Facebook today, y'all, because the Wi-Fi showed me last week. Baby, you got too many devices going on because I'm also here for my audience on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do. Let me start my recording here actually. So welcome to the Cool Weirdos Podcast. I am your host, Asha Cerise. Cool Weirdos is a brand and weirdo is an acronym for while everyone is replicating, demonstrate originality. It is for all the unique individuals who are free-spirited and free-thinking and march to the beat of your own drum. We talk about anything ranging from healing, self-love, self-discovery, relationships, dating, and trending topics. So, I'm not sure if you all have seen the reel that I just posted a little while ago, but tonight's topic is about trusting and accepting love, or accepting love after a toxic relationship, or how to trust someone new after getting out of a bad relationship. That's what we're talking about tonight. So let's just dive right on in. I'll let people come in as we go along. For those of you that are watching the playback, make sure you are subscribed to all of my streaming platforms. So Facebook, it's Asha Cerise, or my Facebook page there is facebook.com/I am Asha Cerise. The YouTube channel here is at Asha Cerise, OSHACERESE. Instagram here, Asha Cerise. The Cool Weirdos page is there as well. It's not that much going on there, but it's there. And if you like to listen to audio only, like if you don't have time to sit here and be live with me face to face, you can always check out the playback on audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever podcasts are streaming. So make sure you subscribe to my Spotify, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you're following me here on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. I'm everywhere. And also remember, I am a life coach. So if you have any issues with healing after relationships, healing after divorce, healing after abusive or toxic relationships specifically, finding yourself, self-discovery is number one for me. Like, I'm a self-discovery coach, self-love, self-accountability. If you need someone to keep you accountable or show you how to hold yourself accountable, holla at me. Anywho, let's jump into the topic. So again, the topic is trusting and accepting love after a toxic relationship. How do we actually trust somebody new when we've experienced such a bad heartbreak, been in a bad relationship? And at this big age, as I said in my caption, most of us have been through a heartbreak or two or more. We've experienced it. And sometimes those bad relationships leave such a huge scar and a huge hole in people's hearts that they don't feel like they can trust anyone else with their heart. And I just really don't want that to happen to so many beautiful people that I can tell really desire love and relationships in their life, including myself. Let's not let our past define our future. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is after these relationships, this toxic relationship, this terrible relationship, or maybe it wasn't that toxic. It was just a really hurtful heartbreak. You thought this person was going to be your forever, and they're no longer in your life. So that is very painful. What do you do with that? And my first suggestion is to dive into your healing journey. And I know that's so cliche and everybody talks about it, but many of us need to take the time to heal. A lot of people jump into the next relationship, and every relationship might not require the same amount of healing. I'm talking about that painful, gut-wrenching, crying in the fetal position, not showering because you're stressed out and you're depressed type of heartbreak. That's what I'm talking about. If it was just something that didn't work out and you're ready to get back in the dating scene, we ain't talking about that. You know what I'm talking about. Real heartbreak. So dive into your healing journey and really, give yourself a chance to heal that broken heart. And healing does look different for everyone. I mention this all the time. But what I suggest is, you know, inner child healing to me is first. But if you're just getting out of a relationship, um, you know, taking the time to just feel the feels before you even dive into all the healing work, just taking the time to feel the feels, acknowledge that you're hurt, and sit in that. Not too long, but sit in it. You're hurt. It's you have an emotion, you're human. Um, being able to accept the fact that it's no longer, that's huge. A lot of people have a hard time accepting what is, men and women. They can't believe that this is actually a real breakup, that it's not going to be a reconciliation. And you have to take some time to really accept the reality of things. um you have to take the time to find you, because loving someone is work. Yes, yes. So that's number one for me, is diving into your healing journey. And when I was just mentioning about the inner child healing, a lot of the things that we accept or we get into, or the people that we attract, are replicas of something that we've experienced in our childhood, whether it's marrying your father, marrying someone who reminds you of your mother, the same traumas that you went through as a child, repeating those cycles. So in order for you to stop repeating them, you have to first identify them. And then once you identify them, you have to really connect with your inner child and see how you can show that younger version of yourself that they are safe now, that you are safe, and that you don't have to repeat those things, that you don't deserve to have to go through that. You're not operating out of a trauma response anymore. You recognize it, like, okay, my dad used to talk to me like that, and that's why I'm dealing with somebody that talks to me like this at this big age. How can I heal that? How can I, really dive into the root issue of what's going on? So I always recommend inner child healing. A lot of realizations come up when you connect the dots from your childhood, from your relationship with your mother, your relationship with your father, and your relationship with everyone that impacted your life. So that's something I do with my clients. Um, I believe we do that like week 2, week 5 in my healing program, but just with one-on-one, we gonna touch on it whenever I see that it's something that needs to be dealt with. Somebody asked me, because I I made a controversial post on Facebook yesterday, or the day before, and they asked me, who hurt you? That's something that people say when they want to hurt your feelings, or when they want to say that, oh, you must be writing this because somebody hurt you. But I think that that's actually a great question that a lot of people need to dive into. That's something that I recommend. Ask yourself, who hurt you? And once you find the answer, what did they do to hurt you? And how is that still affecting you to this day? That's work that I do often. So for the guy that asked me that, I know exactly who hurt me, but I'm not doing that anymore. Um, the second thing I wanted to talk about is reflecting on your past relationships and the lessons that come along with that. When you break up with somebody, a lot of times you don't really see the patterns that are just like the relationships you've already been in. Again, repeating those same cycles. So take some time to tap into, okay, I had the same problem with my ex, or my old boyfriend said the same thing that this one said, but I just don't get it. Find out why they're saying those things. Figure out what the lessons are. A lot of people come into your life, another cliche term, for a reason or a season. Everybody does. Not just a lot of people. Everyone comes into your life. Everyone that you attract and align with is for a particular reason, and it may just be for a season. But take some time to figure out, what did they come into my life for? What was the lesson that I was supposed to learn? What did they teach me? What did my experience with them teach me? And all of this, I feel, is important when it comes to trying to trust somebody else, because you got so many things that you have to break down before you are open enough to trust someone else. Because if you're in survival mode, or if you're in hurt mode, you're in pity party mode with this heartbreak, of course you're not going to trust anybody else. So all of these steps that I'm saying, before you even get to wanting to trust anyone else, you got to do the work on you and figure out, where did we go wrong? Where did I go wrong? After that, you've worked on your healing, you've figured out who hurt you, you've tapped into your inner child healing, you've reflected on your past relationships, and you've really dived into the lessons that you can pull from those. Because even the worst relationships, I never say anything about feeling regret or, I wasted my time with this person, because each experience has a lesson attached to it that's going to help you in your future. So if you just shoo it off, sweep it under the rug, and act like there was no purpose behind it, you might end up repeating the same cycles until you really break those down. So after that, I would say taking accountability for your contributions to the demise of those relationships, or to the conflicts, or to the things that possibly went wrong in those relationships. We talk a lot about, men trying to keep women accountable and women trying to keep men accountable. Keep yourself accountable. Look at yourself and what type of things that you're contributing to the relationship problems that you're having. It might not always be them, it might be you. And that's okay. If you can actually address them, acknowledge them, identify them, recognize them, accept that it's, okay, this is something that I did. And then again, all the work that you've already done, you can go back and say, I did this and this is attached to that. Or I did this and now I know that this is how I will move differently going forward. So don't just identify your toxic traits or your contributions to it. Correct them. That's what I would say. Self-discovery. I talked about that yesterday as well. Getting to know you. So you're not just your pain. You're not just your trauma. You are a whole being. And a lot of times we lose sight of ourselves. We get lost in our roles. Some of us have been in relationships at a young age before we were able to truly discover who we are. So outside of who hurt you and what you went through and all of that, who are you? What did that inner child, that younger child, love to do? What made her happy or him happy? What makes you feel fulfilled? What do you like? What are your hobbies? What are your goals for your future? Like, who are you outside of your roles to other people? Yes, you may be a daughter, you might be a friend, you might be a parent, you might be all of these things, but who are you and what is it that you want to do in this life? Taking that time to really discover that allows you to be so clear and have confidence in anything that you do. And it makes you feel free because you're able to reflect. You're doing all this work. You're taking accountability for your actions. You understand where your trauma and your past pain is coming from. And so now you can be like, okay, who hurt me? Now who am I? How do I want to show up? What do I want to do? And what does that look like? Ooh. And that was next. What do you want and how do you want to show up? So when I say that, I mean, what do you want in a partner? Now that you figured out who you are, what you want to do, how you can be better moving forward, all of those things, what is your type? And I'm not just talking about physical, like, what do you actually want in a partner? I don't think a lot of people know that. And sometimes people say they don't want to create a list, but I say create it. Write your list and categorize it in. I think I have, this is my journal, y'all, How to Beat Single. It's in revision, but it's still available on Amazon. There's a section in here to write a list. It's going to be updated, but this one is your partner's ideal quality, or your ideal partner's qualities, and then what you're willing to compromise on. So I would break it down under how you want them to look, what type of beliefs you want them to have, what type of swag you want them to have, what type of interests you want them to have, what type of mindset you want them to have, what type of emotional intelligence you want them to have, like anything you could think of, right? Until you can't write no more. And then on the other side, what are you willing to compromise on? So certain things are absolute deal breakers. If they do this, or if they're this type of person, if they have this type of quality, if they want this certain thing in their future, if they don't want children, if they do want children, whatever that is, that could be your deal breaker. Or it could be, I would love a man that's this height, but if he's not this height, then, and he has these other qualities, that's not a deal breaker for me. Or I want someone who is into the same whatever hobbies that I'm into, but that's not a deal breaker. Really find out what your deal breakers are. And I feel like when you write down exactly what you desire, it's easier for you to identify that when you see it. If you have no idea, then you really just out here winging it. And I feel like writing that list is um, making you more intentional with what you're doing. But also, when you write that list, write your own list, and how does that match up with what you want in a partner? I don't agree with people saying you can't ask for what you don't have, because your partner or your person may not require you to have every single thing that they have. They might not require you to be equal on all levels or bring as much to the table as they have to offer. And it's not, I don't feel like you should have to limit what you want out of a partner because you may not have X, Y, and Z. But it is good to have your own list of how you want to show up in a relationship, how you want to be for a partner that's different from what you did and how you moved before. So create your list, figure out what you want, what's your type, what you desire, and how you want to show up in your next relationship as well. Being intentional, like I just said, actually knowing what you want before you start trying to go out here and just wing it. If you know you want a relationship, then be intentional about that. If you're heartbroken and you've healed from that heartbreak and you just want to go have fun and you're not trying to be tied down and everything with anybody, know that and do that and don't waver from that. If you know you want to just have casual relationships, be honest with the people that you're dating, be honest with yourself, and keep it like that. But if you know for sure that you want to have a new relationship, don't go out here playing no games with nobody that saying that they're not looking for the same thing, thinking that you can change their mind, because you're going to be in for a rude awakening, and you're also going to be setting yourself up for another heartbreak. You have to be realistic. You have to be connected to what the reality of things are. Accept things for what they are. If you are not ready for being somebody's situationship, booty call, hookup, don't do it. If you're looking for more and you meet somebody that's not, keep it moving if you can't handle it. So another thing I wanted to say is their partner. So making sure, you can refer back to that list that you create, and not just that list shouldn't just include what qualities you want from the partner as far as those different categories that I'm talking about, but what you want for your future, right? Like I mentioned, if you want children, if you want to travel, if you want to be living in this type of house, or whatever your goals are in the future, how does that match up with the person that you're dating now? If you're being intentional and you want a relationship, if you want children and this person doesn't, why are you trying to make that work? Now it can work. Now I follow it. That's the exception to the rule. I follow somebody who was saying that she knew she didn't want children. Her husband has always wanted children. She never thought that she would do it. He took a chance that she would change her mind, and she ended up doing it. She had one child, and then she thought that she wouldn't have any more, and they're now expecting another child. So I do feel like it can happen. We've seen Jeannie Mai with Jeezy. She said she didn't want she never wanted children when she was with her first husband. Get married to Jeezy, had a baby right away. So it can happen, but that's a huge risk. If you know you want children and this person is like, nah, I'm good. Either you're going to freeze your eggs or whatever you need to do as a woman to ensure that if it doesn't work out with them, that you can go move on and have children at a later age if you need to do that. But to me, it's like, why take yourself through that? But, I guess if the love is worth it, hey, that's on you. But I'm just saying, be careful. But in other things, like if you guys have a totally different idea of what your future is going to be like, you have to figure out if that's a deal breaker for you or if that's something that you can compromise on. Even when it comes to if you do both want children, but how do you want to raise those children? What are your parenting styles? If you want to be a gentle parent, you don't want to whoop your kids. You don't want to punish them in a certain way. You don't want them eating certain things. And I'm talking about me. Let's just talk about me. I want to, I would love to be a gentle parent. I want my children to be vegan. There are certain other things that I probably shouldn't even talk about online that I have my idea of what I want and how I want to raise my children. getting with a man that says that they want to raise their children, they want to feed them meat and all of that, that just contradicts with what I want for my future. So it's almost like that's a part of my vetting process, and those are deal breakers for me. So you really have to know what you want, and if you don't know what you want, that's going to make your vetting process much harder, much more difficult. Paying attention to how you feel, I think that's so important. Like when it comes to trying to trust someone new after being in a terrible relationship or having a heartbreak, how do you feel when you're around this person? Like your intuition is never going to fail you. Um, and you should feel a certain level of comfort. But that brings me to another point, feeling safe, right? I recently had a realization about myself when it comes to that. I was on a date a couple of, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And I realized that I still need to work on feeling safe in general. And I realized that it's been such a while since I've been under a man's protection, or since I've had a man's protection, that even when a man is present, I still haven't surrendered to that feeling of being protected. And the way that it came out was because I have anxiety, right? We were sitting in the car talking after our date, and we were in a busy parking lot. So where we were parked, it was just so much traffic, people pulling up, people getting out. I guess there was a club nearby. So people are getting out, they're running, they're doing all stuff. And I'm on high alert. I'm on 10 the whole time. Like I'm looking in rear view mirrors. I'm like, who's that? What's going on? What they doing? And, checking the locks. And at one point I almost pulled off because I thought somebody was coming towards me. And he's just like, relax. Like, calm down. Everything is good. Like I'm here, I'm paying attention. And at one point there was a group of 3 dudes, and they were walking kind of slow. And the first dude looked like he was kind of coming towards the car. So I was like, what the hell? And the way I was looking at him, I guess my face was like a mean mug, like, what the hell is he doing? And so the second dude caught my face. And so he's mean mugging me, like, what's up with you? And so he took a look at the dude in the passenger seat, and then he's like, oh, like, acting like he never was mean mugging me. And I wasn't really aware that that's how I was coming off until my date was like, what happened just now is that guy, you triggered him and he felt challenged. And if I wasn't here, that might have turned out differently. He said, I don't feel unsafe. He's like, I'm a big old, like, he's a big ass man. So he's like, I don't ever feel unsafe like how you probably feel. He's like, so I don't have to, do extra stuff. I don't have to mean mug and make myself bigger or whatever. And I didn't even realize that I was doing that, y'all. And so I feel like that's something that we have to work on as women, is feeling safe within ourselves. And that goes back to childhood stuff too. Before you can truly feel safe with a man. And then that's also trust. Like if you haven't been protected by a man ever, or it's been a while, you have to allow yourself to surrender to the fact that you're good when you're with him. So it's deep. You got to pay attention. Even when you do a lot of work, which I have done, there are certain things that come up, and there are certain things that will reveal what you still need to work on. So the actions matching the words is huge too, because somebody could tell you all day, I like you, trust me, I got you, and I want to do this with you. If the if the actions ain't matching the words, then words are just gonna go in one ear and out the other. So that's also a part of the vetting process, like paying attention to what they're doing and not just what they're saying. Are they showing up? Are they keeping their word, which is so huge for me. Ooh, a man of your word. If you do not keep your word, that's where the trust, even if you did have some trust for somebody, the trust goes out the window when somebody doesn't keep their word. So paying attention to if their actions match their word is huge as well. And a big one, remind yourself that you are worthy and deserving. I talked to another one of my friends who's single, and like when she meeting new guys, and it's like exciting, and she feels like, oh, this could be this could kind of work out. I can see something happening with this. And then immediately she starts doubting and worrying and thinking the worst, like, oh, he just gonna do this, or um, I wonder how long this is gonna last. And that's just when you find yourself doing that, you really have to tell yourself, this is real. This is happening. Let me enjoy the fact that someone is trying to love on me or somebody is trying to take me seriously, especially for us women who have been single for a long time. Sometimes when you finally do meet somebody to take you seriously and really be with you, it's almost like it's not real, and you put up a defense mechanism and a guard, and you just don't trust that this is actually happening. But you have to remind yourself that you are worthy. You've done the work. You are a good person. You are a good catch. This is what you've been praying for. This is what you've been waiting for. This is what you've been manifesting. This is what you've been dreaming of. So when it happens, accept it. You are worthy of it. You are deserving of love. So it shouldn't feel like a fairy tale when it's actually happening, especially if you've done everything that I just mentioned about the healing process and finding out what you've been through and how it's affecting you to this day, and paying attention to the triggers that you have and working on them, working through them, and opening up your heart to allow and receive, which goes hand in hand with what I'm just talking about. A lot of people say that, is love an emotion or is it a choice? And as I've been on my journey, I kind of feel like I realize that it's both. It is an emotion, it is a feeling, it is an act, it is all of those things. But it really is a choice, because if you you can be on it, you can prevent yourself or hold back from really truly just falling for somebody because you're in your head, or you're nitpicking about what you don't like about them or how they're not the perfect person. So you kind of try to hold on to it, and you're not choosing to surrender to the love or to the relationship or go any further or deeper with them. Sometimes you can't help it, of course. You fall in love. I think I talked about this a little bit last week or the week before. But you really have to choose to love somebody. You have to choose to just be like, okay, I'm going to trust that this is real. I'm going to accept the love that they're trying to give me. I'm going to receive it, and I'm going to allow myself to pour back into them. And I'm going to trust that putting in this effort for this relationship or this love to work is going to be safe enough for me to do. And I'm going to choose love. So we cannot let our past relationships ruin our future. A lot of us have been hurt. A lot of us have gone through toxicity. Some of us have gone through abuse. Some of us have been in so much pain and just have given up on love. And I will say this on every show. I don't care. Do not allow anyone to make you give up on love. If you truly want love for yourself, you can have it. So, with that being said, I think that I've posted a reel a couple of weeks ago with a message that I got with, the analogy about if a child burns their hand on the stove, they can either be more careful in the kitchen, make sure they hover over the stove to make sure it's not too hot, make sure they're paying attention when they're cooking, or they can get so traumatized from that burning their hand on the stove that they don't even want to go in the stove anymore. They're scared to cook. They're scared for anybody else to cook. They're overthinking, oh, it's a fire. Oh, somebody can get hurt. That's a lot of us when it comes to love. You've been burnt before, and instead of you just being more careful, you have completely overwhelmed yourself with fear, and you don't want to try again. But newsflash, heartbreak is the risk that we take. So being afraid to be heartbroken is going to hinder you from experiencing the love again. If you're afraid to get your heart broken, you won't ever experience love again, because that's just the risk that you have to take. There's no guarantee that you won't ever get your heart broken again. So it just comes with it. That's just life. But when you really do the work, when you take your time to heal and identify certain things and you do better and you're more intentional with your vetting process and all that, you know how to bounce back from heartbreak a little bit better. I gotta stop and re-record, y'all. Or not re-record, but start a new recording. Great analogy. Thank you. You definitely, if you want to experience love again, and that's okay. If you get your heart broken again, you can bounce back from that again. So that's what I wanted to say about that. I feel like trust issues is a huge thing. I know I talked about love. I've been talking about love a lot this whole month, and I'm probably going to talk about love, different topics about love for the next couple of weeks as Valentine's Day is approaching. But I talked about, what did I talk about the other day? I talked about good women aren't appreciated till they're gone. And then there was another topic that I talked about. What does love feel like? So I wanted to talk about the trusting part. Because that first one, dropping the ball, fumbling the ball, women aren't appreciated until they're gone. We talked about how to identify when you're falling for your person, the right person, or, when you're falling in love again. So we could talk about falling in love and how to identify that all day long. But when you do fall in love, will you actually trust that partner and trust yourself to be in the relationship or to be in love? So that's why I wanted to talk about that today. If anybody has any comments or wants to join the live or anything, please feel free. Right now, I'm about to pull a self-love card. This is what I do at the end of each session. When I do my life coaching sessions, I pull a self-love card and I pull a self-discovery card. So I like to share that with y'all as well. And if, you are healing from heartbreak and you need more than tips and you actually need support on the journey, my booking information is in my link. You can always book a discovery call with me and work through it. Some of my clients are healing from heartbreak. Some of them are currently going through divorce. And I feel like I'm really proud of my clients who are currently going through a divorce because they are ahead of the process. A lot of us, myself included, like I went through a divorce and I didn't start my healing from that divorce years later. Like this person and these people that I work with that are actually in the middle of the divorce and putting in the work to do the healing, that's dope. Don't wait. You ain't got to wait. You ain't got to suffer alone. If you need the support is available to you. So this is a self-love card. We're going to see what the card wants you all to take with you today. What am I proudest of myself for recently? No, we did that on the show. We did that either last week or the week before. We got to pull another one. Let's see. Write out one thing you appreciate about the part of your body you're most insecure about. I think that's really good. Write out one thing you appreciate about the part of your body you're most insecure about. I gotta think about that. Part of my body I'm most insecure about. That's a good one. Again, I want y'all to make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. I'm live here on YouTube at Asha Cerise. If you are on YouTube and you don't follow me on Instagram at Asha Cerise, OSHACERESE, you can be following me on my Facebook page. I put a lot of content on there that may not reach Facebook or Instagram. That may not reach Instagram or YouTube. And my TikTok at Asha Cerise as well. Sometimes TikTok really gets the most the most content that no other platform gets. So make sure you're following me everywhere and subscribed and tune in with me every Wednesday at 8 for Cool Weirdos, the Cool Weirdos Podcast. I like to call this Cool Weirdo Wednesday. Ooh, another wild card. So, what am I doubting about myself currently? Replace that thought with an affirmation and repeat it out loud. So whatever you are doubting yourself about, replace it with something positive and affirm yourself. And keep repeating it until you're no longer doubting it. But I know we talked about yesterday the self-discovery journey. I wanted to talk about that a little bit more before we wrap up. Um, I was talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So just like that card just says, as far as the good, when you're on your self-discovery journey, and both of the cards really, um, thinking about your great qualities and the good things about yourself, because oftentimes we look for other people to affirm us, to compliment us, to tell us, the good things about ourselves or the beauty that they see in us. How do you see yourself? Write down a list of things that you love about yourself, the things that you're good at, your talents, your natural gifts, your, the contributions you've made to the world, your accomplishments, your great attributes. Affirm yourself, big up yourself, compliment yourself. Write those words of affirmations on your mirror or put them on a sticky note and put them somewhere where you can see them, because we can't rely on anyone else to validate us and affirm us and uplift us all the time, because it may not always be done. And sometimes people can't see you for the things that you see in yourself. If you're waiting on them to tell you the great things about yourself, they may not know, they may not have seen every part of you. So you really have to put in time and work to really understand the good parts of yourself, because sometimes they are hidden under stress and worry and concern and sadness and the things that you're hearing from other people and all of the mess. Clear that out and figure out what you love about yourself. The bad, we talked about this when it comes to healing and when it comes to getting over a heartbreak and doing the things that you need to do. Write down them toxic traits and figure out where the hell they come from and how you can do better, because it's so easy to point. They did this, they did this, they that. What about you? Maybe the something that somebody said to you in an argument or a disagreement might have a little bit of truth to it. Maybe the pattern that keeps repeating itself might be because of your ass. Like, dive into that. And it's not to down yourself or to make yourself feel bad. It's just to improve yourself. And then that shadow work, like the deep, dark stuff, not just the toxic traits, the little surface level stuff, like the deep stuff, the deep rooted issues that you have, and the things that you might not share with other people. Like if you're experiencing being jealous of other people, or if you're experiencing some type of demon that nobody necessarily knows about but you, that you're fighting with internally, like addressing them. I think, Angel, you put up a post that this dude was rapping and he said he gets to know his demons' names. Like, yes, who are these other entities? What is my shadow side? Like, what type of memories or experiences am I repressing that are making bad choices happen in my life, or they're manifesting into pushing people away, or whatever it is? Dive deep into your shadow work. Get to know who you are, because other people cannot truly know exactly who you are like you can yourself. And once you do that, it just unlocks so many things for you that you can you really, a lot of people try to criticize you and judge you and tell you who you are. But when you do your discovery work, when they tell you these things, you can accept it or receive it and not take them personally, because you know what's accurate and what isn't, what's a projection and what is not. So that's what I say. Dive deep into your self-discovery journey. And as far as trusting somebody else, you got to first ask yourself, do you trust you? So that's where I'm going to lead at tonight. I'm tired, y'all. I haven't ate a thing today. And I'm getting ready to unwind. I am so appreciative and grateful for y'all joining me. We're going to talk about a few more topics on love in the next coming weeks, and then we'll get into some other things, and then I will start having guests on as well. But again, if you want coaching services, let me know. Valentine's Day is coming up, and I always try to highlight the self-love program a little bit more around this time, especially for single people. It is based off of the love languages, teaching you how to love yourself based on your love languages, or the love languages, period, which are words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, acts of service, and quality time. You can actually give those things to yourself And not only is it about giving you tips and assignments and work to do on those love languages, it actually includes some shadow work as well, and some inner child healing work. So if you would like to do that, you can always sign up for that as well. So let's see. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. I'm getting ready to relax. I will talk to y'all later. Comment anything on the video that's posted to my timeline if you are watching the playback, and I will respond. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in.